Have you ever wondered why Linux is at the core of enterprise IT, cloud computing, and automation? Whether you are aiming for a career in system administration or just curious about Red Hat Enterprise Linux, this video is the first in our RHCSA exam prep series. We will break down the fundamentals to set you on the right path to becoming a certified Red Hat system administrator. Linux is not just another operating system. It is a cornerstone of modern IT. It powers servers, supercomputers, and even your smart devices. Here is why learning Linux is a must for IT professionals, cloud computing and containers like AWS, Azure, OpenShift, application development and hosting, IoT and embedded systems, enterprise infrastructure like banks, data centers, etc. So what makes Linux so powerful? Let's break it down. Open source, free to use, modify, and improve. Command line interface gives full control over the system. Modular design can be customized for minimal appliances to enterprise servers. Linux is built on open source principles. But did you know that not all open source licenses work the same way? Copyleft license. Keep modified code open source. Example, GNU GPL. Permissive license. Allow proprietary use with fewer restrictions. Example, MIT, Apache. A Linux distribution is a complete OS that includes the Linux kernel tools and libraries. There are many distributions, but today we focus on Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Red Hat is one of the biggest players in enterprise Linux solutions. Let's explore the Red Hat Enterprise Linux ecosystem. Red Hat Enterprise Linux, enterprise-grade OS for businesses. Fedora, fast-moving, cutting-edge Linux for developers. CentOS Stream, the testing ground for Red Hat Enterprise Linux next release. Red Hat Enterprise Linux is used in multiple real-world scenarios. Enterprise deployments, stability and security for businesses. Edge computing, Red Hat Enterprise Linux for Edge, optimized for IoT and remote devices. Containers, Red Hat Core OS and UBI. Secure environments for cloud-native apps. Want to get your hands on Red Hat Enterprise Linux? Here are your options. Paid subscription, full enterprise support. Free options, developer subscription, free for personal use. Red Hat Enterprise Linux evaluation, 30 days trial. Cloud and containers, available on AWS, Azure, Google Cloud. Before we dive deeper into system administration, let's set up two Red Hat Enterprise Linux virtual machines, one as a server and one as a client. For the client, I'm going to use AlmaLinux is a binary compatible with Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And for the server, you have two options to download the Red Hat Enterprise Linux. From the official website of Red Hat, you can download it, and of course you need to register to get an evaluation subscription for 2 months. Or you can download it from developers.redhat, and in that case, you will have an evaluation subscription for a year. And after that, you need to renew every year when that subscription ends. And you can use only one machine with one account, the account that you use to register here on developers.com. So go ahead and download the two images. Whatever the choice is for the server, you will download from developers.redhat or from the official website of Red Hat Enterprise Linux and the AlmaLinux ISO. For AlmaLinux, if you are going to use the server, the client, if you are going to use it in a command line, you don't want a GUI, so you only need the boot ISO or maybe the minimal ISO. But if you want to have the choice to have a GUI installed during the installation of the operating system, I recommend to download the full image DVD ISO. Also, AlmaLinux has an extra, it is a live media. When you go down through the page and you can go for the live media and you press here, you can also have your client GNOME or KDE. or XFCE. And it is okay if you want to have your client with a GUI already pre-installed or running it as a live. So go ahead and download the needed ISOs, and let's move forward with the installation. So whatever the virtualization you are using, go ahead and create 2 VMs. If you are using VirtualBox, in my case, I am using KVM. So from the virtual machine manager, I created 2 machines, one for the client and one for the server. The client machine, it will be AlmaLinux, memory 4 GB, and for CPU, I only chose 2. And while you are doing the configuration, in my case, I activated the UEFI. If you don't want, it's up to you to use like legacy BIOS. For the server, I did the same. And for CPU, I give 4. And for memory, 8 GB. In case you are going to activate the UEFI, don't forget to add TPM Trust Platform module and make sure it's like that and version 2. So now we will start with the installation of RedHat server and then with the AlmaLinux, the client. So I will start with the server and next with the client. If the installation of KVM done correctly on your system, you should see this virtual bridge created on your system. So write down this network IP because we are going to use this subnet to create a static IP for our VMs. Let's go ahead and start the VM to start the RedHat server installation on the created VM. And here the bootloader, we choose the first one, install RedHat Enterprise Linux, and let the installer to load the needed files and start the process of the installation. Here the first window to choose the language of the installation and the language that will be used on the installed system. So go ahead and choose your language and then continue. And here the installation summary. I will explain each one of them and then we start changing them accordingly to the need for our installation. The first one, keyboard, add keyboard layouts. Here you can add more keyboard layouts or to change your keyboard layout. Language support, to select additional languages to install. Time and date, here to select the system's location, city, and to specify the local time zone even when you're using network time protocol. Connect to RedHat. Here where you register the system with your RedHat using RedHat account, and to select the system purpose. The system purpose feature enabled the registration process to automatically attach the most appropriate subscription to the system. You must first connect to the network and to configure the network first and host name to be able to register your system. And then we have installation source. Provide the source package location that the installer name is Anaconda required for installation. The installation source field already refers to the DVD when using the binary DVD in our case. Software selection. Here you can select the base environment to install and add any add-ons. The minimal install environment installs only the essential packages to run RedHat Enterprise Linux. And then installation destination. Here you can partition your hard disk to accommodate the installation of RedHat Enterprise Linux. And of course, this task needs some knowledge about partitioning in general, and we will explain how to do this. And then we have the kdump kernel crash dump feature. It collects information about the state of the system memory when the kernel crashes. RedHat engineers analyze the kdump file to identify the cause of a crash. In our case, we don't need it right now, so we will disable it. And then we have network and host name. From its name, it's so obvious. Here to detect network connections and to select the connection needed. If you have a DHCP running on the network, the installer Anaconda will activate the network automatically. Security profile. When you activate a security profile, the installer Anaconda applies restrictions and recommendations that the selected profile defines during installation. And root password, the installation program prompts to set a root password. The final stage of the installation process continues only after you define a root password. But in our case, we will not use a root password and we will keep it disabled, and we will use the user creation, which creates a non-root account, which will be used as a general use account, and also it is a recommended practice. So now let's go ahead. We will start with the keyboard. Here I will change the layout and I will choose my preferred layout, and here done. So here these steps are not based on each other. You can change whatever the mouse comes on. So here for kdump, I will do disable, and for network, here where you can name or give a host name for your system, I will name it RedHat-server, and I will press apply. And here, if you remember that we will do a static IP for the machine because it will act as a server. And here from this window, let's show again, here configure, and then we go to IP version 4 settings. For IP version 6 settings, for now, you can disable it. And then we will go here, and for the method, we will choose manual. And here we press on add, and we give an IP, and here we can give 100. And for the net mask, like that. And the gateway is the same IP of the network, .1, and it is the same IP that will be used for the DNS. Okay, and after that you just press save, and here to disable the network and to enable it again to activate our configuration. After you finish, you press done. And here for the user creation, we can create a user and we give it password. And as you can see that I clicked here to make this user administrator, means I will be able to use sudo. Here this option, make sure that this user one will be a member in the RHEL group. And after I finish here, I will press done. And here for the time and date, if you want to change your time and date, okay. And here for the installation destination, for the security profile, we don't need to choose anything or to change anything. We will leave it default because this is system administrator and nothing about security here. So let's go to the installation destination. When you press on the installation destination, it will open this. Make sure that the hard disk needed to be used for the installation had this sign clicked on it, because if I did like that, it will not be used. If you have more than one disk and you are going to use them for the installation, make sure to choose them. And you have two options here for storage configuration. You have automatic and custom. I'm going to use custom. And here you can choose, I would like to make additional space available if you need extra control. And for now, custom is more than enough for us. After you choose it, press done. And here, because it's a clean disk virtual machine, clean installation, you can install Red Hat on your physical hardware like PC or laptop. And in that case, you will see your hard disk layout already listed here, so you can reuse it for the Red Hat installation. So here I will keep it LVM because we are going to use LVM later in this course. So here I will just click here to create them automatically. And here you can change the configuration for the automatically created partitions by the installer. Here for the swap, I don't need that much swap, so I can decrease it to maybe 1.5. It's enough. And for the label, I will write. And after that, update settings. For the boot, I will just give it a label here and update settings. And for the EFI, I will change it to 1 GB and I will change the label, or I will give it a label here update settings. And here for the root, I will just make sure it has a label. And here I will do like that, just to make sure that the root is claiming the rest of the free space on the hard disk, if there any. Yeah, it was like around 400 MB. And after that, I will press done. And here, a summary of the changes that will happen on the hard disk. I will accept changes, and that's it. Again, this step, if it is not clear from the beginning, if I press again, and here custom hard disk, if I press done, and here the created partitions from the installer, we need root, we need boot, and boot EFI, and boot, and swap partition. And we press done here. And after that, don't forget to press accept changes. Now we come to the most important part in the installation. Connect to RedHat. If you didn't register your system while the installation of RedHat, the installation will goes and install the software on the DVD that you are using for the installation. If you did and connect to RedHat, you will be able later to download and install software from the official repository of RedHat. If you don't want to go through all of this, you can just go with AlmaLinux for a client and server. And it is the same in the installation step and in using it. So let's go here and enter your username and password. And you can choose insights to give a chance for RedHat to get anonymous data traffic from your system to analyze the purpose of your system. And here you can choose and define the role, service level of your system and usage. In our case, we don't need to choose all this because we are not in an enterprise environment. And here for options, if you are going behind proxy or if you are going to use RedHat satellite service. So if you have an activation key or by account. So go ahead and write your account here and password. And after you finish, make sure to press done. If your system got registered, you should see a message like this one. After that, we press done. And now it will take few minutes for the installer to refresh the repository and to activate the grade software selection here. And now we can go to the software selection to install the software needed for our system. So this will be a server. So we can use server with GUI or minimal install, and we can install packages when needed. Or you can install server and it will be in a command line. So I will keep the default server with GUI. If you are planning to use RedHat Enterprise Linux as your daily driver operating system, you can go ahead on the additional software here and choose the group of software that you would like to use. In my case, I will choose graphical administration tools, maybe security tools, system tools, and we need container management because later in this course, we are going to talk about container on RedHat Enterprise Linux. We can have performance tools, tools for diagnosing system and application level performance problems. And here we are on a virtual machine using KVM. So we need guest agents. So make sure to choose this group. And I think we are done here. So we can just do done. And that's it. Once you finish all the steps here, go ahead and begin installation. And again, if you don't want to go through connect to RedHat, you can just use AlmaLinux and use it for the server and the client. So let's hit begin installation. After that, you will see an icon here to reboot your system. So I will pause and come back later. Now, after the installation finished, and here we can log into our fresh installed system by entering our password for the username. And here we have a fresh installation of RedHat, and we can do like this, cat etc os release, or you can do RedHat release. Let's move forward. and show the installation of AlmaLinux. Before moving forward and show the installation of AlmaLinux, we need to highlight something here. If you didn't register RedHat, your copy of installation of your Red Hat Enterprise Linux, you will not be able to install anything when you run DNF command, for example, for upgrade or search for a package. The only way to get DNF to install a package or search for something if you added a third-party repositories on the system. So it is recommended that you register your copy of Red Hat Enterprise Linux installed. In case, again, if you don't want to go through this, you can just go with AlmaLinux. And AlmaLinux is a binary compatible with Red Hat. Everything goes on Red Hat will go the same on AlmaLinux. So now we can move forward and show the AlmaLinux installation. Now we have created a VM to install AlmaLinux. First, I will show installation of AlmaLinux client using the live DVD, and I'm going to use the KDE version. You can use GNOME, XFCE, or Mate. So the configuration here for CPU, I give 2 CPU, and for memory, 4 GB memory. And for the hard disk, I give 24 GB. So let's start the VM. So here, when you start the VM, you have 2 choices: to start the live image or to test the media. So go ahead and hit enter for start the live media. And here AlmaLinux KDE live image, when it started, a full OS, you can use it as a client in live if you want. So to install it directly to your hard disk, you just double click on this icon, install to hard drive. And the installer is straightforward, looks the same like on Red Hat, the one we showed before. But you will notice here that we don't have Red Hat Connect, no registration needed. So if you want to install the GUI, see the installer is like an app running and directly can be installed on your hard drive. So now I will close this and I will start the installation using the DVD. And the default GUI there is GNOME. So now make sure that you loaded the source path for the CD-ROM with the AlmaLinux DVD. After that, start the VM to start the installation of AlmaLinux. Once the installer started, you will see it is almost the same like Red Hat. We have install and test media, and if you want to run troubleshoot on an existing installed system. So let's go to install AlmaLinux. And now the installer started. Also, again, if you noticed, it is the same like Red Hat Enterprise Linux. Go ahead and choose your language, and after that continue. And here in the installation summary, almost the same like Red Hat Enterprise Linux. The only one missing is connect to Red Hat. So go ahead and change your preferences, like here for adding a layout keyboard, I press done. And for security profile, we don't need kdump, we will disable it. The same we did on installation of Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And for the network, we can give a name, host name. I will name it here, AlmaLinux client. I will press apply. And for the IP, I can go here. Let's disable IP version 6. And for IP version 4, we will do manual. And here we will give IP. We can give it here 1110. And for the gateway, the IP of the network, .1. And this IP, the same for DNS. And we press save. And again, we will disable and enable the network to activate the configuration we added. And after that, done. And we can create a user 1, and we can make it administrator. We enter a password and done. And here for the installation source is the local media, and software selection by default is choosing server with GUI. Let's configure the installation destination first. And here I have 2 hard disks just to show you how it goes here. And in my case, I will choose only the second disk and then custom, and I will press done. So now this disk is empty. I can click here to create them automatically. And the option, we have standard partition and LVM thin provisioning. So for the coming lesson, I will choose LVM and I will press here, click here to create them automatically. And the same we did in Red Hat, installing of Red Hat Enterprise Linux, I will do the same here. So here I give a label for the swap and for the boot and for the EFI partition, and the root took the rest of the space. And if you noticed here, and also on Red Hat Enterprise Linux while we are installing it, that EFI partition and boot partition, they go as a standard partition because LVM is not supported for booting a system. So after we finish configuration here, we press done. Don't forget to press on accept changes. And after that, we can go to software selection. And as you see that it's almost the same like Red Hat installation. We have server with GUI, server minimal install, workstation. If you want to go custom, it will give you like to choose a group of packages to be installed on your system. So we will go with server with GUI, and this will be a client. We can also have the same system tools, security tools, and we have graphical administration tools. We don't need container management on the client, and we need to install the agent, guest agents. And now we are done here on the client. We can just press done. And after that, you can go ahead and begin installation. And here after the installation finished, we greeted with the login window. And let's enter the password for the created user. And here AlmaLinux. And again, mostly the only difference is the background. And let's check version of the operating system. And we can run here the same because it is based on Red Hat. And you can see that both of them, they are 9.5. So again, if you want to have the client and the server AlmaLinux, go ahead, because AlmaLinux is a binary compatible with Red Hat, and you will be more free to add third parties repository. Also, you can do on Red Hat. The only difference here that AlmaLinux, you can use directly DNF to upgrade the system or install new packages from the main repositories of AlmaLinux, which is based on or binary compatible with Red Hat Enterprise Linux. And also you don't need to do any registration. So it is up to you if you go client and server using AlmaLinux, or in my case, I will use the server Red Hat, where all the commands and everything we will do, it will be on Red Hat. And the client we will using as a jump client to connect to the server, because we are going to utilize SSH command during the course. So go ahead, make your choice, install the systems, because we are going to use them for the rest and the end of this course. This was just lesson 1 in our RHCSA exam prep series. We have covered the Red Hat Enterprise Linux ecosystem and set up our virtual machines for the upcoming lessons. If you are serious about becoming a certified Red Hat system administrator, make sure to subscribe and hit the notification bell so you don't miss the next episode. See you in the next one, and thanks for watching.